Section 1 of Some Famous Women. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Pamela Nagami, M.D. Some Famous Women by Louise Creighton. Introduction. In this little book I am going to tell you about some of the women who have been famous in the past. There are perhaps many names more famous than those I have chosen, but it was not always the best women who were the most talked about. In the past, it was seldom that any woman who was not a royal lady or some great aristocrat became known to the world. In the early days of Christianity, many women suffered bravely for their faith, and later in the convents there were studious nuns who became known for their learning. In the account of St. Hilda, you will read of one of the most famous of these. But most women were busy in keeping their houses and had to do many things which no woman would dream of doing now. Cloth and linen had to be woven at home. Simple medicines and ointments were made by the great ladies, who had often to act as doctors as well as nurses. Only few women had any book learning, and it was long before it was thought desirable for a woman to learn to write. When good schools were started for boys, few people thought it desirable to do anything for the education of girls. It was not till the 19th century that a change began, and that people as a rule began to think that as girls had minds as well as boys, it was as well to give them the chance of learning. When you read about Mrs. Somerville, you will see how great was the change in their lifetime. No one troubled to teach her when she was a child, but before her death, the first colleges for women were founded at Cambridge. Joan of Kent is an example of the aimless life led by a great lady in the Middle Ages who was kindly and beloved, but did not know how to make her life of use to others. Margaret Beaumont was also a great lady, and might have spent her days in pleasure, but the experiences of her life made her serious, and she used her life and her money in the service of others. Since their day, there have been many great ladies who have been like one or other of these two. The first way in which women who had no great position in the world made themselves famous was by their care for the poor and the suffering. What such women could do, and there have been many of them, is seen in the lives of Elizabeth Fry, Sister Dora, and Florence Nightingale. Other women have given their lives to sharing the sorrows and anxieties of their husbands, and by their love and devotion have been their greatest help in difficult times. These are seldom known to fame, but we see examples of them in Lady Rachel Howard and Lady Ingalls. But whilst most women would always choose a quiet home life, there are others, of whom Mrs. Bishop is an example, who are filled with the spirit of adventure and like to face difficulties and see new things. It is not possible in one small book to give examples of all the different kinds of women who have lived for the service of others. I should like to have told you something about the women doctors, the great women teachers, the women writers and novelists. From all their lives you would learn one lesson which is set forth clearly in the life of Queen Victoria. Nothing worth doing is done without a great deal of trouble. The ruler of a great empire has to work as hard as any girl in a factory, and Queen Victoria is known as a great queen, not because she had talents above other women, but simply because she set herself to do her duty in the position in which God had placed her. In that we can all imitate her. But what shall I say about the one woman in our book who is not English, the Maid of France? She seems to me to stand apart from all other women, like a beautiful vision for our delight and reverence. But she is like all other good women in this, that she did the thing that lay before her. Without fear, in perfect simplicity, she took up the task to which she felt she was called, and went straight on without looking back, even to death. We do not know what work may be asked from women in the future, but the same spirit will still be needed, the capacity to take trouble, the readiness to do difficult things when duty calls, and the gentle spirit of love, which in spite of all her learning made Mrs. Somerville a better wife and mother than most, even of those who have devoted themselves entirely to their domestic duties. End of Section 1.